You're listening to 90.8 Hills FM Radio.
This is 90.8 Hills FM radio station, using our voice to rate your choice. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone. We are back with yet another interesting conversation for you all. They say that all we are today, we owe it to our teachers, and there is absolutely no denying to that fact. Today we have Miss Mhalo Kikon, a private school teacher with us. First of all, Miss, Happy Teachers Day. Thank you for all that you do. We honor you for what you do and what you contribute.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for agreeing to come and for being with us here today to share your stories, your experiences, and all that you have to share with us today.
It's my honor to share you all my stories.
Growing up with so many people wanting to become doctors, engineers, so on, and you know our Naga mentality of just always wanting to become, to get into a white-collar job. Why did you want to become a teacher?
Yes, that is very interesting question. First of all, I would like to say that right from the high school days, I was always planning to be a teacher because my biggest inspiration is my mom. She has been from the background of an educator. She was the ex-headmistress in one private school. So growing up, seeing her, how she has been dealing with the students, I was so much inspired by how she has been dealing with the students. So right after class 12, I was always wanting to do in the field of teaching. So whenever I get back home from hostel, I go to my own hometown, Woka. We have a school there. So I used to go to classes, like starting from class 5 to 6. So from slowly after going back again to my hostel, I realized that teaching is fun. So when I finished my graduation, I did my master's and So after my post-graduation, I decided to go in the line of teaching.
Wow, that's so interesting how, you know, as you grew up, you from a very young age, apni already jani jaise ki you wanted to become a teacher. And not just pura likha khotom hoina, teacher hui jaise no hoina, you were already trying to get that, you know, experience from a very young age. You say that apni chuti time de apni teaching kan kuri thakise. So tadera apni, you know, from a very young age you already had that passion. So otherwise, no offense to anyone who live, I think teaching profession though, I think people keep it as a last option. Nah? I hope you agree with me.
Yes.
So but then just getting to know that teaching was really your passion, it's very encouraging to see that we really do have such teachers teaching the younger ones today. On to the next question. As a teacher, how do you get to know about your students so that in order to be most helpful to them?
Okay. See, I will just take my own example, how I teach in the classroom. I teach social science. So what happened is that to know the students, I have to observe them first during my explanation so that if they are comfortable, when I'm asking them a question or whenever I pick up a topic, I make sure that each and every students are listening to me. Or either when the students, sometimes they don't give their attention in the classroom. Most of them, their minds are always outside. So to catch their attention, sometimes I go out of the box, that is out of my topic from the subject. So in this way, I try to catch their attention, and I feel like I don't know what other teachers are using their methods or styles, but for me, I take this kind of examples, like, seeing the present situation around and just asking them out of the box. I means the topic which I'm teaching, I leave that aside and teach them the question which is important. So in this way, I make sure the students are giving much attention in my class.
Wow, that's very interesting. I think during our times when we were students, I think we were so much more in number, in a classroom, that we were not paid that individual attention. And so when the teacher is saying something or teaching something, whether we understand that or not, whether we are catching up with what the teacher is teaching or not, we just had to, wait for the period to get over, so I think your students are very lucky to have you, because you are observing what every student requires to get the attention. So yeah. And what do you find most frustrating about being a teacher? So there are like advantages and disadvantages and stress and frustration. So in your profession, what is the most frustrating thing?
Let me be honest in this question. To be just go straight to the point. If what I plan and if it's not going according to what I plan, it's the most frustrating for me. Like, just say I have planned in my stuff from that I will go to the classroom, I will teach this, and then within 10 minutes I'll finish up, and then I will try to have some conversation with the students. But sometimes what happens is that when we enter the classroom, some students, I don't know, out of the blue, they don't behave the way that I want, to be honest. So once I start shouting, they know that ma'am is angry. So maybe I will just say that the most frustrating day will be that when the students are not behaving according to what I want them to behave. So that is the only.
Yes, the students will not always behave, will not always be in their best behavior. So when you want them to behave good, when they're not behaving well, then yeah. So I totally understand you. I've also been, part-time teacher in the past. So, and being a teacher, what do you think is the biggest challenge that students face? Being a teacher, you have your challenges, but teacher and a student, they go hand in hand, right? So what do you think, according to your observation, according to your experiences in being a teacher for the past how many years? 8 years?
8 years.
Yeah. So what do you think is the biggest challenge that a student face?
For me, the biggest challenge is the fear of failure, to be honest. Some students, they expect more marks, but on the other side, they don't study. So what happened is that they want to compete with their friend or friends, but then at home, they don't study. So when it's time for the result or when it's time to give the papers to them, they feel bad. So it's like they don't want to fail, but then they don't want to study also. So it is, to be honest, I will just say that the biggest challenge for them is this fear of failure only.
So I think teacher ekta hwado, it is your goal, it is your aim, it is your vision to make every student do well, and I'm sure it upsets you also when a student fails. But then you will not get all the students to pass out in flying colors all the time, right? So how do you cope with different students? Like some are passing out in flying colors, some are failing, but they're all your students at the end of the day. Yeah. So why do you think this happens? Like you're teaching the same lesson, you're with the same method, same formula, but some students they're passing well, some students they're failing. So
Very good question. See, I've been teaching for 8 years. Now, what I've observed is that, first of all, for me, I don't pressure my students or I don't force them to get good marks. Yes, sometimes it's a kind of a, what do I say, order, or like, you have to pass in my subject. I give them this kind of, talks. But then what I do is that I wanted to know the student first. From which background they come from, how are they behaving at home, or maybe, see, Naga society ase, baba ma han kinaga sai, gor phali kinaga thake takhan. So I want to know them first. So I use this technique, okay, right from the start when I have been teaching, because see, like you said, we have been a student once, and growing up to become a teacher was not easy actually. When I first started my profession also, it was not easy. But then with the flow, sometimes I want to be to the level of the students also, with your mind. So I just call out the student, whoever it is. Those see, in my class, just example, I have 25 students. So out of 25 students, I don't expect that 25 students will get good marks. Maybe, who knows, out of 25, there will be like 15 students good, and the rest will be bad. So first, I try to know them first, like asking them what is the problem. Some students are, yes, very indeed, they are very weak in studies. They have their own problems also. They have their own personal problems. And we have been, learning from the young age that we young students, they don't have frustration, they don't go through depression. But for me, what I see is that in the high school level, most of the students suffer from this frustration and depression also. Yes, their personal reasons. So I try to analyze myself first, why I should not pressure them. So in this way, I talk to them, and then together, I used to give them ideas also, how to study. Sometimes my own technique, which I've been using since high school, I teach them that. And then sometimes, to be honest, just sharing it with you also, that there are students, there are parents who have come to me and said that, thank you so much, that mola bacha do last year iman fail hoi takisle, eta do rank be olai ase, like that. So it's so good to hear this kind of, like appreciation from the parents also.
I'm sure you must feel very rewarding when you get that kind of comments, when you get that kind of feedbacks from not only from students but also from parents. Having said that, since you mentioned the parents in the picture, I think the role of parents is very important in a student's life, because obviously the student is their children, right? Is their child. So I'm sure you might have experienced some instances where bacha to fail hoy aro ama baba do teacher ki hi bia pai jai na aro, and that is out of our hands. If I were a teacher, I would feel really bad if student parents kan bra ahina ina complain kurishe kule. And I'm sure every parent expects the best from their child. They want their children to excel, whereas they don't know the behavior of their child in a classroom. So when you get this kind of complaints, from a parent, some might even come to you personally, or just call you up, or even come to your house for that matter. And some might approach the school management or whatever and complain about the teachers. So haram de do, like, how do you tackle this kind of situations?
This is also another very important question actually. During PTI, especially after exam, most of the parents, to be honest, mudo naga parents hangin na expect krana day. Like some parents are like that. They don't want to accept the truth that their son, their daughter is very weak in studies. To tahan la marks bishi biya paili bi tahan no. Ito to teachers kan do bhalba shikana negi. Like, and to be honest, maths, science and social science, the most toughest subject. Subject. So when they fail in this subject, their parents automatically, they blame the teachers, saying that, teacher khan thik nai negi, bhal nahi shikai negi. For me, what I feel is, at that time, sometimes I feel very bad also. And we cannot even say more to the parents because they are not ready to accept the truth. Their son and the daughter, they are very weak. So sometimes what I tell them, I'll be very happy if you come and sit in the classroom with your son and daughter. Sometimes, aro sabi, tahan ki naga learn kore. That is the only, I would say, like, the ending part. Yes, solution. Yeah. Sometimes I get irritated also, but that is how we are, like, a teacher should, like, go through. So I don't feel bad. I just tell the parents that I will be very happy to ikhan olop apni khala bacha hangi olop bhal bra observe korile bhal hobo enaga koi dem boy at the end na.
So that's the only advice you can give them. And there are so many subjects, like you mentioned, mathematics, science, social science, English, literature, and aro ajalito. There are so many subjects. So some students, they excel in some subjects, and in some subjects they are weak. But do you think that makes them like, if I excel in literature but I don't do well in mathematics, do you still think a student is a bright student even if he or she is not doing well in all the subjects? Because I think the way our brain works is also different, right? With every student, I think that's just the way they're wired. Like, some will excel in something, some will excel in another subjects. So inahan bi balance kro lagi jai, right, in a student's life. So among you as teachers and as colleagues, how do you work collectively?
See, to be very like honest in this question, most of the students they give more importance in English, alternative English, and they yes understanding, and most of the students they don't give interest in maths and science. What I have seen in my life.
They just, and then I think it's because right from the time we were students, we have it in our mindset that ito duita to bishi hard subject ase. So ito do pass down hushe na even to the younger generations that these two are very tough subjects.
So what I do is that what I not I mean not do, but what I feel is that to in my point of view, मोदी तो को कि बच्चा खान दो मैथ्स से भाल ना लगे होली भी if the teacher is exciting, to be honest, okay, that is my own personal view. Maybe SS ase like SS la teacher ase. So what I do is that most of the students starting from class 7 to 10 in their mind already hal dishe ki SS be tough ase. But why? Kile ta na bhavana kre. Moi itula mentality do change kuru karne moi moila technique ala cholai. So what I see is that it's not that I'm self-praising myself, but what I see is that most of the students pass in my subject because I teach them in such a way that they understand. Aro sometimes see being a teacher, khali kitab te noy de. All of action gonna be dikhawo lage tahange. Like paine social science to British rule laga time de ase to killing he ase bishi bhag to moi ha itu acting to kurina dekhai de to bacha han bi in this way they put that in their mind.
Yes. I think it's easy for them to understand, and then keep that in their mind. Udo action kan do dikhina tahan idu fun part to dikhina itu register ho jai tahan la dimag te na.
Oh yeah. Our important point mohan itu subject de what is the most important topic. We teach them in such a way they will keep there in their mind for like till the exam. So that is how I tackle. But for maths and science, moi bhabana kura do teacher can be a lot exciting hoile do. Bacha kan do more importance they might give in this subject. Ito he ko moi do.
Wow, so interesting. I really hope that there are teachers listening to this conversation. Like, So what will you like to tell the teachers who are listening to our conversation?
First of all, to all the teachers who are working like with all their efforts, and like some teachers they are not even taking a good rest because of so much pressure and workload. But at the end, you know that you are not alone. There are thousands and thousands of teachers, not thousands, maybe it's just about the country only. But then some teachers be kinoido. So many be alag thake. Kuma handu to be honest, family problem bi thaki na bi teacher koi thaka bi ase. But then that is their own challenge. Tahan ki na face koribo. To at the end, moi ita thangi na koi thakili bi. My advice, they will just listen to it and then tahan la mon de do tahan nijo la decision thakibo do. So for me, I would just want to tell them that don't give up. It's not the end. We need to keep on working together. Like till the students, okay, I wish everyone like to be in a good state of mind, and then be positive, be patient. Yes, teacher hobole do iman easy noy. Moi kitiba bacha hange gusa uthile do come here and stand. Tohan janibo how you will feel that how we are teaching it. To kitiba na bi koi to hani moi teachers khan bi ko bole mujhe patience thakibi. Bacha hange to deal kole do without like anger no hoide. It's all about patience. Mohan joy kinaga mohan first understand korna bachange shika bole. Itu as only teacher hangi bi to ko bole munjai moi patience thakibi aro positive he thakibi. Itu bacha khana problem karni khor loi jai na kiba hoise na abi noi na. So school de ki hoy nei chari digina gorde wapas aibi tomorrow what I should do to be a good teacher. Itu kurbo lage tan. Itu ase.
Wow. I really hope that Konishna Apnila, all across the state and what country, or I hope that teachers will really listen to the advice that you have just given. Aro, this is very something that you know, I think some people have addressed, and we read about it in the papers, and there are articles that have been written about this issue. So it's like when somebody says that they want to become a teacher, you know, I think they always think about becoming a teacher in the government sector. Na? Government school te teacher ho munja la, nolibi government college te professor ho munja. Nobody thinks about, especially in our Nagaland scenario, I don't know about other states, but when we say we want to get into the teaching profession, they're considering the government sector, you know, and obviously it's because of the pay scale, you know. Whereas parents, or even us, even me, I grew up studying in a private school, you know, but my dad was a teacher in a government school. So you know, this teacher to government school te koro munjai, bachahan ke to private school te pathao munjai, you know. So being a private teacher, what do you have to say about this?
Okay, sabi, mohan teachers, private government teachers, bishi debate kore ke kiti wado mohan bi, like inside our school, like in the staff room. Yes, staff room, staff room conversation. Bishi bhag to, like you said, they want to join government teachers. To be honest, yes, pay scale karne. Private teachers karne man opportunity na pai pay scale de do. Holi bi bacha hangi do private school de man patawa munjai. See, that is very, like, you know, bhal ba dikhya se so manu ki baba man do. See, mula nijo laga, if I take this same example, my school also, most of the parents are government teachers, but their students, their sons and daughters are all studying in our school. So it will debate to no ki man could it will never end. Aro at the side story, mano bishi do government la teacher krole munjai kule ki karne kule do tahala salary bishi ase. Holibi, what I see now is that I think government can be, they are taking good steps to very strict causes. Only mohan private teacher khan, government teacher khan ase ko na mohan compare bi nukurbo lage. Holibi mola point of view de do. For me, what I feel is that every teacher is same, even though like government or private. But the thing is that the difference between the private and the government teacher is that the workload it matters. So in private teachers, yes, though our work is, you know, very much or like overload will be, at the end our pay scale does not match with our workload as well as qualification. I would say that. So government teacher could handle right now, they have their own reasons of joining government schools, and private teachers also, they have their own reasons of joining the private. So for me, I don't have any issue with that. Holibi itya mohala generation gan, the young generation, if they are growing up, I want them to know that, like, if they are really choosing this profession to be a private teacher or government teacher, they should choose wisely. Not about money, but how to educate the students. It's not about the money, because they have chosen their profession not because of money, it's because of the students. So they have to think about that first. Student hangi shikabo lage to paisa karni nahoy. So bacha hangi kinaga shikai na how to make them successful. That should be in their mind when they think about choosing to be a teacher, whether it will be a government or private school. So they should think about the students only, not about the money.
Okay, so you have been in the teaching profession for the last 8 years.
Yes.
In a private sector.
Yes.
So in a teach kurina ahadam de, did you ever consider taking up another job? Like, I think, you know, the older people tend to ask us, like, ami private school de teacher kore actually to exam bi desna nai ina bi hude na manu bishi na. So in your 8 years of teaching profession, apni ek bar bi alak job take up krole la consider kuri saishna nai?
Hoy, ki misa ko temptation to bishi aishe. In the last 6 years, lots and lots of temptation came, like from my parents' side, from my relative side, family side. They used to, like, you know, they, you know, it's not that I'm saying something good about me, but maybe they have seen something good in me. That is why they were like pushing me ahead, like, government job kuribina, government service kuribina. Yeah, I tried and PSA exam, to be honest, 2 times. Maybe Mula line din hoy pare ito. So I give up. So I gave up and I give up. Mo ita to nedibo. So mo ito ita mola profession do teaching de ase ko na. I will like look forward teaching line de he jawo ko na. Kiman sal kurubo na jane, but then as long as I'm alive and I'm in a good health, I wish to continue to educate the students.
Wow, that's really encouraging to know that you're really enjoying and you're really passionate about your profession. And so, lastly, you give so much to the students, and as you're giving to the students, you're giving to the community, right? So, apnila best dina, apnila, your sacrifices and all you give to the students and to the school. So, what do you expect back from them? Yeah, from the students, or from the school, or just from the entire community. Yeah, what do you expect from them?
My only wish and my dream is that when they grow up, if they become successful, like engineer hobby, doctor hobby, kiki hobby, if they are successful, I always tell my students that if you get the opportunity to go on the stage, don't forget to mention my name. You should be like thanking me. Oh, I had this ma'am, I had this miss. I always, encourage them in a good way. You have to become a doctor. You have to become an engineer. Everyone has different talents. Every students have different talents. So find your own way. At the end, don't forget, nothing comes free. We have to earn. Poisa matters, yeah. Money it's always first. So I always encourage them to become successful, and then at the end, I always tell them, don't forget to mention my name when you're giving a speech of your story. So I expect good result, to be honest. So like, tahan successful hole do mami khushi pabo. So at the one, if we become old, at least we will see their face. Ito bi mola student thakish do. Ito he lagi mohan. So at the like old age, at least Mahala ekta students ba mange yad kurishe ko na. Ito ekta mange rakhi dile. At least that will be my legacy also. Na, ito he ase.
Like I said at the beginning of our conversation, that all we are today, we owe it to our teachers. Na, maybe I think if I had not gone to school in the past, if it was not for a teacher who has taught me something, I would not be here today conversing with you or doing what I am doing today. So amihan iteki kuro pare se even the smallest ways of earning a living is because of our teachers, is because of something that they have taught us in the past. Idorni, I'm sure apnila your efforts and your what do I say, your passion that you're planting into your students' life, it's not going to go in vain. And ekjun dujun ekla nohoi na, just apnira expect kuri thaka prabi bishi, you're going to see success through your students. So we really appreciate you, and happy Teachers Day once again.
Thank you once
God
again.
bless you.
You're listening to 90.8 Heels FM Radio.
This is 90.8 Heels FM radio station, using our voice to rate your choice. Stay tuned.